And I'm surprised at how patient the first Final Destination movie is. It's it really sets up like after the initial get off the plane, we're all gonna die. It really just builds. Even the intro, the patience of showing death as a character, like how
Yes.
it goes about, even making a death look like a suicide. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, okay, so this movie is actually good, even though it's quite old. It's actually like it's a good story. The only issue I have with the Final Destination movies now is because we know the formula. We know that we're going to have a big thing, and then people are going to try and survive or cheat the death plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you and I talked about off air before was how much we loved the last one because it really wrapped up the story nicely. It had this circular pattern where it all connected, and it was so
So good.
clever. And I think that's what makes that film so good. Otherwise, it would have just been another rehash of the formula, which is fine. But the thing I have issue with is that I don't know who to root for because if I know everybody's going to die and there is actually no way, because that's kind of what like the other Final Destination movies do. They give you a false sense of security,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, but, and then there's this thing 6 months later, which is what the first one does, and then oh, but we didn't actually. And it's like, okay, so if I'm not rooting for anybody to survive, then this is my thought going into Bloodlines, then I'm just rooting for Death to be very
Yep.
creative with
Yep.
the Death things. And that's fine. But the problem is Bloodlines is patient as well, like the first one. I have to say, they've got, I don't know who who they sold to, but they got a much bigger budget. Their opening for this movie is spectacular. Now everyone starts with like the highway scene. Everybody remembers number two
Yeah.
because of the logs. Also, want to shout out to them for their marketing has been spectacular. Like their billboards of guys just like splattered on the billboards, the trucks with the. I think you sent me a thing on TikTok where there's literally the log truck. And I was like, no, get away from that. So well done to the marketing, but the opening for Bloodlines is fantastic. It's set way back in the past, and what they've done is they've connected everything again. They've shown us where it started,
Mm.
and which is nice because I did wonder like what who is it just as a whole bunch of new people circumnavigate the death thing again, and so we're starting at the beginning again, and maybe we'll have subsequent movies. No, this one is connected to the others, which I was surprised by. The opening is so good, but it's so frustrating because you rarely like the characters. Like, so by the
Really?
time, yeah, you really like the characters. So by the time stuff starts happening, you're like, no. And they haven't shied away from the gore or the really, really creative ways that people just die in this. It's brutal, like really brutal. I think you've seen the trailer where I don't.
I
Have you seen
haven't
the
seen the
trailer?
trailer. I have
Okay,
not. I have stayed away from it.
okay, cool. All as I say, if you have seen the trailer, you know there's a scene with a guy in a tattoo shop, and you might think, oh no, I've probably seen most of the fun kills then if I've seen the trailer. You haven't. It also does a thing where it which I quite liked about this is really going off topic, Clown in a Cornfield,
Hmm.
where the trailer shows us one thing, but they don't spoil the movie.
Hmm.
And this is a very similar thing where
Okay.
it subverts your expectations to being all about this, but there's so much more involved in it. And the way it's connected is fantastic. You'll see a couple of faces. This unfortunately has a bit of a sad tone to it because it's the last time we get to see Tony Todd's character, the
Oh.
Undertaker.
Hmm.
And you see the he's so thin in this, like
Oh,
super, super
really?
thin. Yeah,
Okay.
it just made me sad because it's like,
Mm.
and at the end of the movie, it does come up with, in
Oh,
loving
for
memory
Tony or
of
something. Yeah. That.
Tony. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
which is great. Like, I appreciated that. You don't have to stay to the end of the credits. There is no end credit scene, there is
Oh,
no mid credit scene. There's just, once it's done, it's
it's done.
done.
Okay.
When we get to the modern day part of it, I think I was glad for the creative death scenes. Like I was loving how different they were. They're always trying to top themselves, which you have to in these movies, and they don't shy away. Talking about a patient movie, the patience is the setting up of the story, which is great. And then once we get into the death pattern, that's when people are just like laughing. There's a few setups where you see a thing coming that people in the audience were laughing beforehand because they knew what was coming. And so there's a couple of characters in this movie that you definitely want to die. And when you see the thing that Death has set up, like he's playing everybody like puppets, you're like, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're going to use this. And then they don't and use something else. It's so much fun. So I had a blast with this movie. I think they've managed to do the impossible, really. Take something that was wrapped up really well, give us an amazing opening where they've got a big budget and it looked fantastic, made me care about the characters from beginning to the new characters when we're in the modern day, and how it connects everywhere. The score's just understated. The acting is very good. Like I was like, oh,
Really?
yeah, like there was no one that I was just I was really just there with them, and there were times when I was like wanting to turn away, like because it's the tension just builds up and builds up and builds up,
Good.
and then you're like, holy crap, that is nasty, but also give me more. It's that sort of sadistic fun, which I think a lot of people will enjoy. If you're a fan, you're going to be I wouldn't try and nitpick the story too much, because with all the Final Destination movies, like if you're going to be thinking about, couldn't they just have, I literally heard a couple that were in afterwards, they were just talking about it, but what about if they did this, well, what about if they did I'm like,
Do you know what movie you went into?
you just watched the Final Destination movie, man, come on. You'll know when you get it, and this is not going to spoil anything for you, but there's a piece of glass that I equate to the nail in A Quiet Place. So they show it to you, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and I'm like, just do it already.
I guess I was pretty horny.
Acting was good in this. I liked the characters. They were all different. They were very real. The family dynamics were very broken family dynamics, but because of stuff in the story. And there's a lot of practical sets, which is really nice. Yeah, there's one beautiful set that just is so atmospheric that they use a couple of times, which I really like. And the bodies, like I want to say that 90% are like proper body bits of gore and splat, like it.
Oh, so they're not relying as much on the CG or anything. And they're just
no. There's a lot of just.
That's what we need.
Yeah,